from getting canceled.
Adidas is the latest company to cut ties with rapper Kanye West. The company had been undergoing mounting pressure to drop the rapper.
To craziness.
Everybody says, who does he think he is? I just told you who I thought I was, a guy.
To betrayal.
Things have just changed. I'm not just some kid that's a fan anymore, and now we have personal situations.
Kanye West has been in music for 2 decades, becoming a legend in the process. But as time has gone on, he has been a part of tons of controversies that have gotten him canceled time and time again. Which begs the question, who are a part of these? What exactly did Kanye do? And why did they get him canceled? Hi, I'm Rashad Bashir, and these are the many controversies of Kanye West. First up, we have Kanye's infamous moment on stage with Taylor Swift. In 2009, Kanye West did something so unexpected and insane that it became one of the most memorable moments in pop culture. Taylor Swift had just won the award for Best Female Video at the VMAs.
I always dreamed about what it would be like to maybe win one of these someday, but I never actually thought that would happen. I sing country music.
I mean, winning a VMA in front of all of her idols meant that this was supposed to be her night. But Kanye had other plans.
So thank you so much for giving me a chance to win a VMA award.
He got up on stage and shocked the entire audience by saying,
"Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish."
And to the surprise of nobody, the next thing he said was somehow worse than him interrupting her speech.
"But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time."
So not only had he just ruined Taylor's speech, he also put Beyonce in a really awkward spot as well. Right after Kanye tried to give credit to Beyonce, the camera then panned to her. Her face had a look of pure shock as she just tried to smile. On the other hand, Taylor Swift was left frozen on stage after what Kanye had just done, unsure about what to do after being publicly humiliated like that, and the fact that she had to perform didn't make it any better. Immediately after, you could hear the crowd booing Kanye after his embarrassing outburst on stage. However, Taylor Swift thought that the crowd was booing her instead. Imagine how horrible it was when you had your moment taken away by Kanye West, of all people. Later, we found out that Taylor Swift and her mom both cried backstage, and so did Beyonce, as she said, "I didn't know this was going to happen. I feel so bad for her." And when Beyonce won Best Video of the Year, she was kind enough to bring Taylor Swift up on stage to give her a chance to finish her speech.
So I'd like for Taylor to come out and have her moment.
And no matter how you feel about Taylor Swift or her music, you have to admit that this was a horrible thing to do, even by Kanye's standards. But Kanye wasn't going to be able to get away with this scot-free. Taylor Swift was a rising young star, new to the industry, and many came to her defense. Not only just Taylor's fans, but also her fellow artists. For example, Katy Perry had strong words for Kanye. "F you, Kanye, it's like you stepped on a kitten." This was true at the time, especially when you compare Kanye West to Taylor Swift. The difference was massive. Kanye was an established superstar at the time. Another pop star, Pink, just outright said what was on everyone's mind that night. Kanye West is the biggest piece of shit on earth, quote me. So clearly, everyone was on Taylor's side. But what would Kanye have to say about all of this? Well, one day passed after Kanye confronted Taylor at the VMAs, and Kanye would become public enemy #1 in everyone's eyes. But believe it or not, Kanye actually apologized for his actions and tried to explain why he did what he did on that fateful night on the Jay Leno show. For some context, Kanye's mom, Donda West, died 2 years before this happened. On the show, Jay Leno asked Kanye about how his mom would react to the whole VMA situation.
"What do you think she would have said about this?"
Kanye responded with a sincere answer.
So many, celebrities, they never take the time off, and I've never taken the time off to really, I just music after music and tour after tour.
He said he never had the time to mourn his mother's loss because of how he was churning music out. However, he didn't blame it entirely on that, because what he would say after would be one of the rare moments when Kanye West really spoke from his heart about the situation.
And I'm just ashamed that my hurt caused, someone else's hurt. My dream of what award shows were supposed to be caused, and I don't try to justify it because I was just in the wrong. That's period.
Kanye West taking accountability for his actions, that's rare. Now, if you think that Kanye was apologizing for the sake of it and that he didn't feel bad, you'd be dead wrong, as he reached out to Taylor himself, which she said in her own words, "Kanye did call me, and he was very sincere in his apology, and I accepted that apology." So that should conclude their beef, right? Well, not really, as this was far from the end of their feud. You'd think their feud would be over after he apologized, but just 3 years after Kanye showed remorse to Taylor for the drama he caused at the VMAs, he took the apology back in an interview with the New York Times, saying, "I don't have one regret." So it turns out Kanye West wasn't entirely sorry after all. And when asked why he apologized, he said this: "I have, as a human being, fallen to peer pressure." But 2 years later, it seemed like things were all good all of a sudden, as the two would reunite at the 2015 Grammys, where they not only took a picture together, but Kanye also jokingly said she wants to get in the studio and we're definitely going to go in. In that same interview, he gave her props and said she's an artist with an amazing view, perspective, and fan base. That's quite a lot of compliments for someone who just humiliated you a few years ago. Then, later that year at the VMA Video Vanguard Awards, when Taylor presented Kanye his award, she gave Kanye his flowers when speaking about his career.
But Kanye West has had one of the greatest careers of all time.
Now, this was a compliment for sure, but it was also play to what Kanye said years ago.
But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
By the way, that would have been the perfect time for Taylor to step in and interrupt his speech. I'm being sarcastic, by the way. Not only that, but Kanye also thanked Taylor Swift during his speech.
Thank you, Taylor, for being so gracious and giving me this award this evening. Thank you.
So, this had to be the end of their beef, right? I mean, Kanye even sent her flowers a couple of days after the award show, which she took to Instagram to upload. They were good, right? Well, no. Unfortunately, the peaceful times between Kanye and Taylor would be over following the rollout of Kanye's The Life of Pablo album. As you know, Kanye and drama go hand in hand, and this album was no different. And for some reason, he decided to involve Taylor. You see, when he released the song Famous, it had a couple controversial lines that mentioned Taylor Swift. "I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex. Why? I made that bitch famous. I made that bitch famous." He basically said that his whole VMA stunt in 2009 was what actually made Taylor famous. However, even though a lot of people would get upset at him for the song, Kanye assured them that Taylor Swift was fine with the lyrics, taking to Twitter to explain that Taylor approved of the lyrics and gave him permission to put it in the song, tweeting, "I did not diss Taylor Swift and I never dissed her." However, this didn't stop fans and other celebrities from clapping back at Ye. Taylor's brother, Austin Swift, uploaded a video of him throwing his Yeezys in the garbage on Instagram. And he wasn't alone, as other artists like Selena Gomez, Pink, and many others disapproved of Kanye mentioning Taylor in his song. But what did Taylor herself think? Well, she would respond to Kanye's disrespectful track on one of the biggest stages in music television, the Grammys. So, when she won the Album of the Year in the 58th Annual Grammy Awards, she used her spotlight to respond to Kanye's controversial lyrics.
"I want to say to all the young women out there, there are going to be people along the way who will try to undercut your success or take credit for your accomplishments or your fame."
Now, if that's not a direct shot at Kanye, then I don't know what is. Taylor denied his claim that he made her famous, saying her accomplishments were hers alone, and Kanye should never get credited for them. And at this point, you're probably thinking, alright, Kanye is being very slimy. However, it seemed like he wasn't the only one who wasn't playing fair, because afterwards, Kanye's wife, Kim Kardashian, would call out Taylor Swift for lying, stating she totally proved that. She totally knew that was coming out. She wanted to all of a sudden act like she didn't. And this made everyone ask, did Taylor Swift know about the lyrics the whole time? And if so, did Kanye really get permission from her? Of course, Taylor wasn't going to let this go. So, after hearing what Kim Kardashian said on GQ, Taylor released a statement through her spokesperson and refuted her claims. Taylor does not hold anything against Kim Kardashian, as she recognizes the pressure Kim must be under and that she is only repeating what she has been told by Kanye West. So Taylor claimed that Kim was being manipulated by Kanye, and she explained this is what really happened. Kanye West and Taylor only spoke on the phone once while she was on vacation with her family in January of 2016, and they have never spoken since. So we finally have confirmation that the two spoke on the phone. But what was more interesting was when Taylor shockingly revealed that Kanye tried to get Taylor to do this. Kanye West also asked her to release the song on her Twitter account, which she declined to do. That's a pretty bold move by Kanye, asking Taylor Swift to release a song that had lyrics calling her a bitch on her own Twitter account. Well, according to Taylor, Kanye West never told Taylor he was going to use the term that bitch in referencing her. Yeah, it looks like Kanye never informed her about that one teeny tiny detail. But it sounds like Kanye was mad that she didn't agree and then called her a bitch. But who knows? At this point, tensions between Kanye and Taylor were at an all-time high. But Kanye didn't care and decided to release a music video for Famous. And it's probably the most disrespectful music video he could have produced. In it, he showed a naked sculpture of Taylor Swift next to himself, Kanye West, in bed along with other artists and politicians like Donald Trump and Kim Kardashian. This was supposed to be inspired by a Vincent Desiderio painting called Sleep. Kanye also described the music video as a comment on fame, but even with that context, it was a pretty horrible look. After seeing the music video, Taylor's close friend, Lena Dunham, had this to say: "Seeing a woman I love like Taylor Swift reduced to a pair of waxy made by some special effects guy in the valley makes me feel sad and unsafe. And you can't really blame her, that was a pretty disturbing music video. But it still wasn't over because Kim Kardashian had other plans. About a month after the famous music video was released, Kim Kardashian uploaded a series of videos that showed Kanye West and Taylor Swift having a phone call. In the clip, Kanye did tell her about the line about them having sex.
I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex.
She responded positively, thanking Kanye for letting her know about the line first.
And I really appreciate you telling me about it. That's really nice.
Not only that, the 3-minute phone call that Kim uploaded showed the two being on positive terms and speaking to each other as friends. In it, Taylor assured Kanye that she was going to co-sign the song and laugh about it once it came out.
And, you know, if people ask me about it, I think it would be great for me to be like, well, she called me and told me the line before it came out. Like, jokes on you guys, we're fine.
So dang, Kanye wasn't lying. But Kim Kardashian wasn't done. Just the day after leaking the phone call, she wrote on Twitter, "Wait, it's legit National Snake Day. They have holidays for everybody. I mean, everything these days. Totally not a sneak this." So clearly something fishy was going on. Why was Taylor Swift so pressed about the song when it came out if Kanye already told her about it, right? Well, it's because they didn't tell her the full story of how the call went. You see, when Kim leaked the phone call, Taylor Swift faced backlash for allegedly playing the victim in all this, as people were spamming the snake emoji on her Instagram because of Kim K's earlier tweet. Of course, Taylor wasn't going to take this without clapping back at the two, but the damage had already been done. As a response to the leaked phone call, Taylor Swift took to Instagram and defended herself, saying, "Where's the video of Kanye telling me he was going to call me that in his song? It doesn't exist because it never happened." True enough, that part was not in the phone call at all. Only the one where they'd have was on the video. I wanted to believe Kanye when he told me that I would love the song. I wanted us to have a friendly relationship. He promised to play the song for me, but he never did. She's right. Taylor Swift tried to make her friendly relationship with Kanye work, but with how erratic Kanye acted, it was never going to happen. I would very much like to be excluded from this narrative, one that I never asked to be a part of since 2009. But once again, if you thought Taylor and Kanye's beef was over after this, or even close to its climax, you'd be wrong. Because later that year, Kanye was given the chance to have a speech at the 2016 VMAs, and although Taylor Swift wasn't in attendance, he did show her some love. Kanye looked like he was done with the beef and disagreed with the belief that he tried to humiliate Taylor Swift or take her down.
I love all y'all. That's why I called her.
The day after, Kanye tweeted an image of someone wearing a shirt that had half of Taylor Swift's 1989 album cover and half of his My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy cover with the caption, "All love." Taylor would never respond, and in 2020, we found out why. 4 whole years after Kim Kardashian leaked snippets of the phone call on Snapchat, the whole thing was leaked online. And if we know anything about time, it's that it's the ultimate truth teller. In the call, it was revealed that the line about Kanye having Taylor was the only one that she approved of. Kanye never told her about the line, calling her a bitch after all. Now, all of a sudden, everything she said was making sense. And to give you an idea, here's what she said in her Times Magazine interview when she was named Person of the Year. "Make no mistake, my career was taken away from me. Taylor took Kanye's betrayal hard. That took me down psychologically to a place I've never been before." Before Kanye released the song, the two were giving each other props at the VMA Vanguard in 2015. So Taylor must have thought their friendship was the real deal. In the interview, Taylor Swift said that she moved to a foreign country and never left her rental house for a year. Kanye's antics really did a number on her. "I was afraid to get on phone calls. I pushed away most people in my life because I didn't trust anyone anymore." And who could blame her for this? After all, she thought that she just had a normal conversation with a friend who turned out to have illegally recorded their conversation to use against her. One of those times was on the song "This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things," where she said, "It was so nice being friends again. There I was giving you a second chance." And if you think that this line could apply to people other than Kanye, here's more lyrics to support her claim that she was referring to him. "Friends don't try to trick you, get you on the phone, and mind twist you," referencing the infamous phone call the two had. Yeah, you can't really get more specific than this. But that's not all she had to say. Fast forward to 2024, when Taylor released the Tortured Poets Department, there was only one song on the album that was titled, thank you, AIMEE. Now, this might sound like a weird way to spell and capitalize the letters in her song, but this was her way of throwing shade at Kim Kardashian for the phone call incident. Later, she cleverly changed it to "Thank you, Amy," but spelled like this, referencing Kanye, who as we now know goes by Ye, to diss him as well. However, this wasn't the end of Kanye's controversies, as if you thought he was playing dirty here, wait till you hear what he did with Drake. As a hip-hop fan, I'm sure you know that Drake and Kanye West have had an on and off again relationship for as long as you can remember. but let's take it back to where it all started. The two supposedly met for the first time in 2008 while Kanye was still working on 808s and Heartbreak. Their first song together would be on the remix of Digital Girl by Jamie Foxx. Afterwards, the relationship would quickly progress as just a couple of months later, Kanye would direct the music video for Drake's breakout song at the time, Best I Ever Had, in Hawaii. So he sort of took the up-and-coming rap star under his wing. Sounds like the start to a beautiful and long-lasting relationship, right? Well, you'd think so, because soon after Kanye and Drake worked on Forever, along with Eminem and Lil Wayne. And with 4 of hip-hop's biggest stars all in one track, the song became a massive hit, charting at number 2 on the Billboard charts and getting nominated for 2 Grammys. Funnily enough, it lost to Kanye's song Run This Town featuring Jay-Z and Rihanna. But although Drake technically lost to his friend at the time, it didn't matter, because thanks to Forever, which went 6 times platinum, Drake solidified himself as a full-fledged hip-hop superstar. So where did things go wrong? Well, somewhere along the line, as Drake got bigger and bigger to the point that he was also seen as a household name in music, he stopped seeing Kanye West as his idol or mentor, but as competition that he needed to surpass in every possible way. One of the first signs of this relationship starting to get shaky was in September of 2010, when Drake was spotted with Kanye's ex-girlfriend Amber Rose, which had a lot of people questioning whether or not they were still friends. At this point, it was rumored that the two had a bit of a rocky relationship, but here's what set it off. At the time, Kanye and Jay-Z's collab album, Watch the Throne, was gearing up for release, but here's the thing. At the same time, Drake and Lil Wayne were also talking about releasing a joint album together.
You know that we still got to do that album.
Yes, you've still got to do that
Some
album.
other guys are coming out with that album too. There's 2 other guys that are coming out together. 2 other rappers that are coming out with an album together.
So Drake implied that Jay-Z and Kanye actually stole this idea from them.
I don't know where they got that idea, but
even though Drake didn't outright name drop them, you'd be pretty dense to not know he was talking about these. But he wouldn't just diss them in interviews. In Drake and DJ Khaled's now classic song I'm On One, he dissed Kanye and Jay-Z, rapping, "Hate the rumors, hate the bullshit, hate those fucking allegations. I'm just feeling like the throne is for the taking. Watch me take it." And by referring to Kanye and Jay-Z's The Throne duo name, Drake couldn't have made it more obvious. However, to make sure the beef didn't turn ugly, Drake tried to downplay the bars as he took to Twitter and denied that he dissed them, tweeting, "Hove diss, Hove of all people has not lost it. That's God body flow." But what was more confusing was him and Kanye's relationship, as Kanye performed in the 4th OVO Fest back in 2013. Later on, Kanye admitted that the idea of doing a collaboration project with Jay-Z on Watch the Throne was because he felt the pressure mounting with Drizzy and Wayne starting to take over the game, and that he and Jay still had plenty of gas left in the tank and were eager to prove themselves. So it was also a battle of generations, but it would quickly get personal. And in 2016, when Drake dropped Summer 16, it featured a line that said, "Now I got a bigger pool than Ye, and look man, Ye's pool is nice, mine's just big is what I'm saying." But you see, despite Drake's explanation, this was more than swimming pool sizes. It was Drake's way of saying that he was starting to get bigger than Kanye West and that he may have surpassed Kanye altogether. Funny enough, in an interview with Big Boy, Kanye addressed Drake's lines about his pool. Big Boy asked Kanye if what Drake said on the track was true.
They ask you this, and keep this 1,000 with me, Kanye. Is Drake's pool really bigger than yours?
Kanye replied by saying that he had 3 pools.
I have 3 pools.
Which doesn't really answer the question. But the funniest part about all of this is just a week later, the media discovered that Kanye was planning to build a man-made lake in one of his properties, which was just crazy when you think about it. Drake talked about having a bigger pool than Kanye, so what does he do? Build a lake from scratch. That's like the most Kanye thing ever, by the way. So Drake's bar about having a pool much bigger than Ye's really struck a nerve. And while Kanye was busy constructing his man-made lake, the now classic film The Life of Pablo also dropped. If you didn't know, Drake had actually penned 2 of the songs on the album, 40 Hours and Facts, which is really ironic because Kanye was dissing Drake's Nike deal on the song that Drake helped write. On Facts, Kanye rapped, "Yeezy, Yeezy, Yeezy, just jumped over Jumpman, Yeezy, 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 just jumped over Jumpman." And while he was dissing Nike, Kanye didn't forget to send shots at Drake's way, using the same flow that Drake did on the Jumpman track featuring Future that released the year before that. It's also important to note that Nike's association with Drake started off in 2013, which showed that there was a working history between the OVO founder and Nike. Not only that, there was a leaked version of Wolves, a song on the album that featured Drake but never dropped. However, since the two were working together on the album, you could say they were technically on good terms. As even after that, Drake featured The Throne, aka Kanye and Jay-Z, on one of his songs, Pop Style. So was there beef between the two industry giants or not? Well, it's complicated. You see, Pop Style was part of Drake's album, Views, that Drake released back in 2016. However, when it finally dropped, fans were quick to point out that Pop Style didn't have Kanye and Jay-Z featured on the song. and this led people to speculate that the beef between Kanye and Drake was still going on. Kanye explained that Jay-Z took himself off of pop style out of respect for Meek Mill, who was signed to Roc Nation at the time. Keep in mind that Drake and Meek Mill were publicly beefing for quite a while. And then, in an interview with Zane Lowe, Drake also cleared the air about the whole pop style situation.
I just ended up going with my version of that song. Really, I just was trying to get Ye on it at first.
So Jay-Z wasn't supposed to be on it. Kanye just sent it to Jay-Z.
And Ye just sent it to me like that, like, yo, Jay kind of just did my first few lines for me.
But that wasn't all Drake spoke on. If you didn't know, the two were actually neighbors in Calabasas. So Zane Lowe also asked Drake about their swimming pool competition.
That was really just like some friendly neighbor bars. You know, me and Kanye, I take pride in being Kanye's neighbor. You know, I take pride in our little community of Calabasas, and it was just me poking fun.
Drake claimed that the lines in Summer 16 weren't really that serious. He even said that the two would just turn up to each other's houses because of how close they were. So it looked and sounded like they were best friends. So that's why when Kanye was on tour and dissed DJ Khaled and Drake for having too much airplay for their song For Free, everyone was surprised. Randomly, Kanye took to the crowd and asked them, "Is it just me or did you hear that song so many times?" He continued, "You say we want to play for free? Hey, you know what it is though, because hey, I love Drake, I love Khaled, but they set that song up, bro." Although Ye did show some love to Drake and DJ Khaled, he was also implying that they were paying radio stations or other outlets to play the single more than usual, which, if you don't get it, in hip-hop is basically this. Now, if you were Drake, you'd be confused why Kanye was talking shit again. From his perspective, they were cool with each other. They had just worked on a couple of projects together, from The Life of Pablo to Pop Style, meaning for Kanye to be dissing him on stage like this was a surprise. And this is what he had to say.
I'm not really sure what he's referring to half the time, you know, because in the same breath, I mean, you know.
He basically said he was confused, and you can't blame him.
I went from being like working on a project with him to him sort of like publicly on me and DJ Khaled for being on the radio too much, you know. I accept it, I don't respect it at all.
So after everything they had been through, the beef was back, worse than ever. So while tensions were still high between the two, Kanye decided to text Drake. At the time, he was working on the album Ye, and in his text, told Drake to come over to Wyoming, where he had just bought a 14 million, 9,000 acre ranch. So Drake and his right-hand man, 40, thought why not, and accepted. 40 actually went over to Wyoming a day earlier before Drake and would say that something felt off about it, but Drake went anyways.
So Wyoming happened and 40 went to Wyoming early. And he was like, man, I'm here a day early, man. Something's off.
And he was right. The whole reason that Drake and 40 were there was to work on Drake's album, Scorpion, which was about halfway finished. But what they didn't know was that they were actually invited to work on Kanye's music instead.
And I'm like, it's all good. Let's just go and let's see what it's about.
A decision that would have serious repercussions for Drake down the line.
So I went and, you know, ended up pretty much spending majority of my time working on his music.
So instead of going to Wyoming to have Kanye help him out on Scorpion, the exact opposite took place, as Drake was mostly working on Ye.
And I spent all my time pretty much working on his stuff.
Which wasn't really what Drake came over there to do, but hey, he was happy to help. Not only that, Kanye was also trying to get Drake to share some private information about his life, which, as you'll see, is gonna end really, really badly for Drake.
And I told him when I was dropping. By the way, I'm in Wyoming, I play him March 14th. I send him a picture of my son.
Oh my God.
I tell him I'm having trouble with my son's mother. We had a conversation.
Yeah, that's right. Drake told Kanye about Adonis, Adonis's mom, Sophie, and all of that. And just to be clear, even though TMZ and other news outlets were trying to expose this at the time, it still wasn't verified until Pusha T revealed it. But that wasn't all. Kanye then asked Drake when he was releasing Scorpion, his next album. Drake replied honestly, telling him that he was planning on releasing it June of that year. Just 3 days after that, Kanye proceeded to announce on Twitter that Ye's release date would also be on June. Even worse, Kanye would also announce that him and Kid Cudi's collaboration album titled Kid See Ghost would also be dropping on June 8th. Me and Cudi album June 8th. To make things worse, Pusha T's Daytona album was also released pretty close to June. So it seemed like Kanye ordered everyone in good music to drop in an effort to overshadow Drake's release. Later, it would be revealed that this really bothered Drake.
I wake up and all these dates are out one by one by one, all around June 15th.
And we can't really blame him. But after tricking Drake into helping him work on his album, Kanye's trolling antics weren't over. Keep in mind, Drake contributed quite a lot to the songs. He ghost wrote some of them as well. So Drake thought that he had to bring something with them after the whole Wyoming thing, which is fair, right? So Kanye gave him the beat to a song titled Lift Yourself, and Drake was ready to rap over it. However, that never happened because Kanye used the beat himself despite Drake. And here were some of the lyrics. Poopy dee scoop, scoopy dee dee whoop, whoop dee scoop dee poop. poop-de scoop. This was pretty funny and everyone on the internet could not believe what was happening and wanted to know why Kanye was rapping about poop on a beat. But what a lot of people didn't know was that before Kanye released the song that trolled Drake, he texted him first.
I wake up now to this text from him, a passive, like, sends me to something I did. Yo, I love you, brother.
Lift Yourself comes out with him just talking nonsense.
So I'm sure you can imagine how Drake felt being screwed over like that. First, he and his producer go to Wyoming. When they arrive, Kanye tells them that he was there to help out on Scorpion, only to have them work on his album instead. And finally, Kanye stole Drake's June release date. Talk about a bad friend. Even funnier, people online were even defending Kanye over what he just did to Drake. Someone on Reddit said, unpopular opinion, I don't think Drake would have did anything great with his beat. With another one adding, they really were just bullying this man, LMAO. But that win wasn't enough for Kanye. He had much more up his sleeve. So let me explain. If you guys somehow didn't know, Pusha T and Drake got into a beef that ended in Pusha T revealing to the world that Drake had a son with Sophie Brousseau, an ex-porn star in The Story of Adidon. In the end, Pusha ended up as the winner of the rap beef, and Drake never released a response to the song. But what a lot of people don't know is that Drake believed that Kanye had a hand in his expose. And after looking at the evidence, it's not hard to see why. Drake would first explain this sentiment in his infamous Rap Radar interview.
He definitely recruited a guy with a similar dislike for me, no matter what he says in interviews, you know. I know that.
If you don't get this, Drake was saying that Pusha recruited someone who knew he didn't like Drake, and he believed that that was Kanye. Since not only did they both dislike him, but Pusha was signed to Kanye's Good Music and even held an exclusive position as Good Music's president, which checks out. But Drake would also say that this beef was different from the time that he and Chris Brown had beef, as Drake never really saw Kanye and Pusha T outside or anywhere. What happened to them going over to each other's houses?
I don't see those guys anywhere, so like it's not the same as when I was beefing with Chris or those guys, they hide in God knows where and they don't come outside unless it's like an event.
So Drake essentially said that Kanye and Pusha were hiding. But this was just one side. What did Kanye have to say about these accusations? Well, in an attempt to clear the air, Kanye went on an interview with 107.5 where he was asked if he leaked the information about Drake's son to Pusha.
So you didn't get Pusha T the information?
In it, Kanye denied doing so and said that he had better things to do.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Don't pull me to this conversation. Like, I'm Ye. I got major things to do.
But regardless, it was clear Kanye had gotten a one-up on Drake. So Drake had no option but to fire back, right? Well, Drake apparently had a diss track in response to The Story of Adidon that had shots aimed at Kanye West. However, although the song was already written, it was never released to the public.
You wrote the song and never put it out.
Yeah, because I got home and I just listened back to it and I was like, man, this is not something I ever want to be remembered for.
But this wasn't what caused the stir. The real drama was the rumors that in the song, Drake admitted to having an affair with Kim Kardashian, Kanye's ex-wife. But how true are these rumors really? I mean, it's never been confirmed, but there were some vague statements from other rappers that seemed to suggest that this was the case. Let's take a look at this clip from Nick Cannon, for example.
There's something that Drake holds over that whole family that he like, y'all don't want me to let this out.
But that's probably hearsay. Something more convincing is that Kim Kardashian's family and Drake were pretty close. And not just because they were neighbors. There are videos of them having dinner together with the whole Kardashian family on YouTube.
It's a great video.
But there's more. Some fans speculated that the hook to Drake's song, In My Feelings, was a reference to Kim Kardashian. Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding? Because Kim's nickname in her family was Kiki. If you don't believe me, check out this old Tweetiverse. I was thinking Chloe and I have our nicknames, Kiki and Coco, but Court doesn't have one. However, if Drake really had something like this in the vault, would it stay there? I doubt it. As of recording this, Drake's career-ending diss track is still nowhere to be found, and even Drake's biggest fans don't believe that it exists. I love Drake, but this mythical second track is just PR posturing to save face. So instead of dropping the career-ending diss track, Drake decided to throw sneak disses. When Sicko Mode finally dropped, Drake's bars looked to be aimed at Kanye. But where were they really?
Of course though, of course. I'm not, I can't lie to you. Of course they were.
So before I even get into the bars, yes, they were directed towards Kanye, and I'm saying this now because for the longest, fans refused to believe they were. So what were they? Well, in one bar, Drake rapped, Jesus Christ, checks over stripes. Yeah. Referring to the brand's logos, if you didn't know, Nike has a check while Adidas has stripes. So Drake was just saying Nike is better than Adidas. Also, Drake has had a pretty solid relationship with Nike. He has his own shoe line with the company. And we know Kanye has a relationship with Adidas. So it makes sense for Drake to make this diss. Lost my respect, you not a threat. We mentioned the two having a really close relationship a few years ago, with how Drake saw Kanye as his mentor and biggest musical influence till that point. But what was worse was that Drake managed to put these disses aimed at Kanye in a song with Travis Scott, who was very close to Ye and the Kardashian family, making this all the more disrespectful. But now, the ball was in Kanye's court, and in true Kanye fashion, he would respond on Twitter. And it looked like the disrespect that Kanye felt from Drake's verse on Sicko Mode got him in his feelings, because Kanye was mad. First, he took to Twitter to expose that Drake's team had reached out to him to clear a sample, uploading a screenshot to Twitter with the caption, "This proves faker than wrestling," referring to their beef. He also reinforced the idea that he didn't tell Pusha about his son and that he's been trying to meet Drake for 6 months, while Drake was out there texting Kris Jenner asking how her family was. And of course, in true Kanye fashion, he dissed Drake while showing love to him at the same time. "It's all love, bro, but don't play with me. You stay too close to be playing all these industry games, bro." But this was far from the end of Kanye's rant. In fact, these tweets were the beginning of a meltdown from Kanye. What's crazy is that this was just a few of 100 tweets that he'd post in a few days, and the tweets were all over the place. One tweet seemed to show that the beef was over, mission accomplished, followed up with "Drake finally called," only to come out and say, "By the way, not cleared," talking about the sample Drake's team wanted cleared. Kanye also added that Drake was picking on people with mental illnesses, referring to himself of course. But this meltdown was far from over. According to Kanye, Drake did ring his number, and it wasn't a courtesy call. Drake tried calling to threaten me. It looked like Drake's call wasn't for a good reason. To put it lightly, so Drake, if anything happens to me or anyone from my family, you are the first suspect. So cut the tough talk. This was very dark. And at this point, people were actually worried about him. So much so that his wife, Kim Kardashian, would come in. At Drake never threatened my husband or our family, he paved the way for there to be a Drake. So her post supported Kanye's earlier claims of Drake sending threats. After all that, Ye did say that he and Drake needed to talk this out. "I'm up for talking. We need to show all these fans that black men can talk without someone ending up dead or in jail." So was Kanye finally ready to bury the hatchet? Not really, because just as you thought Kanye would stop ranting and crashing out on Twitter, he went off on Drake for dissing him on a Travis Scott song. "How you gonna be on Trav's song coming at me? Trav should have never allowed that." To make it worse, not even Travis Scott was safe from Kanye's Twitter fingers, as he would say that Trav had to sell his soul for Sicko Mode. People sold their souls, you got a #1 record, but you got it by letting this dude diss your brother-in-law. So he basically said that Travis Scott put clout before his family. After reading all of these deranged tweets from Kanye though, Drake finally took to Instagram to upload a story with laughing emojis. But beyond that, there was nothing else that he had to say about Ye's rant. And finally, on Kanye's end, he would end his Twitter rant by acting all positive. All positive vibes, all love, mediate, and positivity. And after that, things kinda stalled. But 2 whole years after Kanye's crash out on Twitter, Drake had something to say about Kanye's secular music era. For those of you that don't know, secular means music that's made for a non-religious audience, which wasn't really something that Kanye West was making at the time since he was going through his whole religious phase. So here's what happened. Drake was asked if Kanye would ever make non-secular music again.
God bless him on his new journey, but he's making like, I don't even know if he's ever gonna make like secular music again or not. I don't know which one is non-secular, secular.
Yeah. This is a pretty normal response, right? But Kanye clearly felt some type of way about it and went on a rant about what Drake said.
Don't call me secular, because secular is trying to say that I do anything for anyone other than Christ.
And at this point, it felt like the relationship had hit an all-time low. It felt like they would never squash the beef. However, in a wild turn of events, a year later, Kanye would go on Instagram Live with Jay Prince. In it, he apologized to Drake for their recent back and forths.
I'm making this video to address the ongoing back and forth between myself and Drake.
At this point, we don't know if Jay Prince just forced the two of them to make up with each other or not, but this video does look pretty awkward.
Both me and Drake have taken shots at each other, and it's time to put it to rest.
Someone on Reddit would make a pretty funny observation. Ye looked like a hostage explaining the terms for his release to his family. This wasn't the first time Jay Prince had been called in this beef either. When Drake dropped his freestyle, Behind Bars, it was full of Kanye West subs, one of them being, "They told me relax because they're taking control," which meant that Jay Prince started to get involved in the beef between Kanye and Drake. Academics also clarified that Kanye called Jay Prince to step in to protect him.
Jay Prince was asked to step in on behalf of Kanye, because Kanye initiated that call.
But Kanye didn't only apologize to Drake in this video, he also invited Drake to perform with him.
I'm asking Drake on December 7th to join me on stage as a special guest to share the 2 biggest hours of the year, live in Los Angeles, with the ultimate purpose being to free Larry Hoover.
If you don't know who Larry Hoover is, here's a really brief summary. Basically, Larry Hoover founded the GDs, or Gangster Disciples, and is currently serving 6 life sentences for allegedly calling the shots to smoke people back in the day. And he's a pretty big deal in Chicago, which is where Ye is from. So anyways, after hearing Ye's request, Drake would accept the invitation. And just a few days after Kanye's Instagram Live, he and Jay Prince would link up with Drake in his Toronto mansion. According to Jay Prince, he wanted to show that no matter how big they were, it was important for them to settle their beefs. This is a situation that could save lives. And his efforts to fix the two and their relationship wasn't wasted, as they would perform at the Free Larry Hoover concert in Los Angeles. Looking back, this concert was legendary. They performed their hit song, Forever.
This our last one, baby. Thank you. Make some noise for Drake up in this.
It was truly a beautiful moment, as it appeared like they had finally reconciled. I mean, just take a look at Drake being all emotional listening to Ye performing Runaway. Surely this would be the end of the subs and the aggressive tweets, right? I hate to tell you this, but not really. Just when you thought the dust had settled and these two would finally put a stop to their beef, after the Larry Hoover concert, Drake had other plans. You see, on the collaborative album Her Loss with 21 Savage, he had a few lines for Kanye West, specifically on Circo Loco, when he said, "Linking with the ops, I did that for Jay Prince, I did it for the mob ties." Keep in mind that the ops that he was talking about here was obviously referring to Kanye West, and that he admitted he only linked with him and did the concert for Jay Prince and his quote-unquote mob ties. Damn it, Drake. Well, Kanye heard this and did what he does best, hop on Twitter, tweeting, "Enough already, I done gave this man his flowers multiple times, let's really see who are real ops in this music game." Imagine all the rappers on the same side and everyone cleaning up each other's contracts. It's kingdom time, love Drake. And just like that, the two would end up prolonging their never-ending beef for a while. With neither of them willing to give up and be the bigger man, Drake would continue to send shots at Kanye, dropping Search and Rescue, the official cover art for the image being Drake and a woman wearing black helmets. The woman has a resemblance to Kim Kardashian, who was also sampled on the song. And it's a pretty wild sample, because it's from an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians where Kim and Kris talk about her divorce with Kanye, where she said this: "I didn't come this far just to come this far and not be happy." Okay, that's fair. Basically saying Kanye was making her depressed. Ouch. Fast forward to 2024, while the great rap beef was happening between Kendrick and Drake, Kanye would join in by remixing Future and Kendrick's song, Like That. Basically, while everyone was piling on Drake, Ye saw this as an opportunity to diss him too.
Well, called me, I went to the studio, laid that, and then we, went through the creative process. Everybody was very, very excited about the elimination of Drake. We were not excited, we was energized.
We know Kanye definitely was. However, unfortunately for Kanye, no one really cared about this remix, and he was actually made fun of for how inconsequential this remix was. Metro gave bro an unplugged controller. But if there's one thing you can say about Kanye, it's that he's unpredictable. Because he just went from the elimination of Drake,
everybody was very, very excited about the elimination of Drake,
to giving Drake a shout out in a South Korea listening party 2 months ago.
This one for Drake. This one for Ian Connor.
And a comment on the internet summed this up pretty well. This is the weirdest relationship in hip hop. Drake was clearly influenced by him and respected him, got to work with them, but they constantly beef. However, even Kanye's wife wasn't spared from her fair share of controversies with Kanye. When Kim Kardashian married Kanye West in 2014, she probably knew there'd be some controversy being with Kanye West of all people. I mean, she had her fair share of her own controversies herself. But back then, Kim seemed ready to stand by Kanye no matter what. But what she didn't see coming was the day she'd have to defend herself, not just from Kanye's enemies, but from Kanye as well. So what did Kanye do to the person he once loved so much? Well, the first controversy was in 2013, when a Canadian model claimed that Kanye West cheated on Kim Kardashian with her. She said that she was actually scouted and was brought backstage at a show to do the deed. Later, both Kim and Kanye's spokespeople denied this rumor and said that the Canadian model, Layla Gobadi, was only looking for a payday by spreading these false rumors. However, the rumors were not particularly hard to believe, knowing how many women Kanye slept with during this time. But you see, this was nothing, because the main thing that shrouded Kanye and Kim's relationship was Kanye's jealousy, as whenever he had a chance to diss one of Kim's exes, Kanye wouldn't turn down the opportunity. Take his Bound 2 performance on the late night show with Jimmy Fallon, for example, where he dissed Ray J. But before we dive into that, you're gonna need some context to understand the situation. Because Ray J wasn't just one of the many exes that Kim Kardashian had throughout her dating career, but also the most infamous one due to their leaked video. Kim and Ray J dated from 2003 to 2006, and that was around the time when they recorded it. Also, if you didn't know, Kim Kardashian sued Ray J for the tape and got paid $5 million in a settlement out of court. Anyways, fast forward to 2013, and Ray J would send shots at Kanye and Kim by releasing the song I Hit It First. To further prove a point, Ray J said this on the song: "I had her head going north and her ass going south, but now baby chose to go west." Dang, crazy lyricism. But this isn't the only line dissing Kim, as Ray J would say that no matter where Kim goes, she'll always belong in his bed. Also, I'm sure the title speaks for itself, but what I'm sure you didn't know is that the album cover is a pixelated version of Kim Kardashian's bikini photo that referenced the My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy album cover. Now, about the song itself, here's what fans had to say. Ray disrespected Ye simply by making the literal shittiest diss track I've ever heard. Which is true, while the song wasn't anything memorable, Kanye still didn't let it slide. But to mock the couple even more, Ray J talked about the tape and said that if he and Kim were to get back together, they'd make another quote-unquote movie. So what did Kanye do to clap back at Ray J? Well, he would do a lot of things, but the first was when he performed Bound 2 at the Jimmy Fallon show and changed the opening lyrics to fit Ray J and called him lame. Brandy's little sister lame, many know it now. When a real brother hold you down, you supposed to drown. Then, 3 years after their spat, Kanye would directly name drop him in Highlights, a song off his The Life of Pablo album. In the track, Kanye actually said he'd be down to be friends with Ray J if only they didn't love the same woman. I bet me and Ray J would be friends if we ain't love the same bitch. Overall, really tame lines from Kanye. Yeah, he might have hit it first, only problem is I'm rich. And I mean, he wasn't lying here. However, that's not the end of Kanye's fits of jealousy, because that same year, a bodyguard allegedly got too close to Kim, so Kanye just straight up fired him. After that, the bodyguard went on an interview and detailed why he got fired. In the interview, the bodyguard explained that he approached Kim to discuss an issue with their vehicle, and Kanye soon joined the conversation. According to the bodyguard, he tried to say hi to Kanye, but Kanye responded by closing the door on him. He saw me there and I said, "What's up, Mr. West?" Kanye, walked by, shut the door on my face, and that was my last day. Judging from his story, it looks like there's not much job security working for the couple because of how prone Kanye was to acting out. However, after that, Kim and Kanye got married and the two welcomed their second child, who they named Saint. And you would think that they would just have announced the baby's arrival, took a few photos, and celebrated as a family. But this is Kim and Kanye we're talking about, so there had to be something more to it. About 1,000 more photos to be exact. You see, the two allegedly argued about who should take Saint's photo. Kanye called in 3 different photographers to take what he thought was the magic shot of Saint West. Not only that, but an insider also said that Kanye considered himself to be the creative director of the shoot and wanted to get the perfect shot of Saint, which I don't really think is needed, but hey, if you're Kanye, I guess everything has to be that extra. But that wasn't the end of their spat about Saint. After flipping through 1,000 photos of their son, Kim finally snapped a photo that she loved. And of course, she had to fight Kanye over that too, which is pretty wild if you think about it. So they already got a photo, everything's good, that should be the end of it, right? Well, that wouldn't be the case, because their argument about Saint wasn't finished. And if you're thinking, what other random thing could they possibly attach to their newborn son's photo shoot? You'd be in for a surprise. You see, the two argued whether the photo should be published in a fashion magazine or a celebrity magazine. I'm not making this up. I mean, surely this is something we can all relate to, right? Anyway, Kim shared the photo of Saint holding her hand on Instagram and Twitter, while Kanye refused to repost the photos at all. Kinda makes sense why Kanye wasn't added to this group chat.
My sisters and I are on a group chat, always getting parenting advice.
But they don't get advice from me. Can I get on that chat, please?
But after all of this, and I'm sure much more, it was no surprise that on February 19th of 2021, Kim Kardashian officially filed for divorce from Kanye West. A source supposedly said how Kim felt and why she had to do this. She needed to end the marriage for the sake of her kids and her own sanity. So it seemed like Kim being with Kanye took a toll on her. Kim was really supportive of Kanye during his struggle with his mental health, but she knows she has to do the right thing for her kids. According to her, there really wasn't one main reason for their divorce, but rather it was a buildup of a lot of different things. And when Kanye declared for presidency during her show, Keep Up with the Kardashians, she explained this.
Hardest feeling to watch someone you really loved and you have a family with just be so different than who you knew.
And jokes aside, it must have been very difficult for Kim to try and make the whole situation work out in the end, because she did try for the sake of her 4 children. Not only that, but the lifestyle that Kanye lived was something that she was having a hard time keeping up with.
I realized, like, no, I don't want a husband that lives in a completely different state. To me, I thought, oh my God, that's when we're getting along the best. But then that is sad to me.
Kanye West moved to Wyoming from Los Angeles, also helped put the nail in the coffin for their relationship.
Why am I still in this place where I'm stuck for years? He goes and moves to a different state every year.
From how she talked about the relationship on the show, it sounded like the divorce was bound to happen sooner or later. So, did this divorce mean we would be seeing the end of their feud? Good question. No. Do you remember that parenting group chat that Kim talked about in the Vogue interview? Well, maybe they should have added Kanye to the group chat, because even though the two had started to go their separate ways after filing for divorce around February of 2021, they still had to co-parent the kids together. This meant they had to agree on certain things as parents, which I'm sure you can guess they would have a hard time doing. For example, on November of 2021, North West officially made her own TikTok account. Well, it wasn't really her own because it was a joint account with her and her mom, Kim, but still, this wasn't an account made to browse TikTok and scroll away. No, it seemed to have been primarily made to have North promote Kardashian fashion brands like Kylie Jenner's makeup kits. However, that wasn't the issue. It was the fact that certain things on TikTok may not have been right for her. For example, they used the background sound from Doja Cat's Need to Know, which featured the line, "I heard from a friend of a friend that was 10 out of 10. Yikes. But that's not all. As North West would upload another TikTok with Kim while Sky played in the background. This wouldn't have garnered any controversy if only the lyrics didn't explicitly say, "She a rock star, she a sex symbol." Again, the internet went in an uproar. So what did Kanye think of this? Well, he wasn't happy at all. Taking to Instagram to upload a screenshot of North West's TikTok video with the caption, "Since this is my first divorce, I need to know what I should do about my daughter being put up on TikTok against my will." However, the most memorable moment in their feud was when in an Instagram post, Kanye would upload the chat logs of him asking someone for Kim's number, among other pictures, claiming he was being separated from his children against his will. The caption would say, "Kim accused me of putting out a hit on her, so let me get this straight. I begged to go to my daughter's party and I'm accused of being on drugs. Then I go play with my son and I take Akira graphic novels and I'm accused of stealing." Is it just me, or does it feel like this is one of those scenarios where both sides are equally bad? Now I'm being accused of putting a hit on her. These ideas can actually get someone locked up. They play like that with black men's lives, whether it's getting them free or getting them locked up. I'm not playing by my black children anymore. This time, the internet sided with Kanye. Accusing Kanye of putting a hit on his ex-wife is something serious and shouldn't be played up to baseless accusations. After all, people have gone to jail for a lot less. But Kim wouldn't stay silent. Afterward, Kim would respond to Kanye's rant online through an Instagram story of her own where she wrote, "Kanye's constant attacks on me in interviews and on social media is actually more hurtful than any TikTok North might create." Kim wrote that as the main provider and caregiver for their children, she's doing her best. She also included more details about how hard the divorce has been for her, and Kanye's hurtful comments about her was making it worse. Not only that, she claimed that Kanye was trying to manipulate the situation in his favor. Of course, Kanye would respond back on Instagram by saying, "What do you mean by main provider? America saw you try to kidnap my daughter on her birthday by not providing the address. You put security on me inside the house to play with my son, then accused me of stealing." Yeah, he's reiterating most of what he said at first, but he did say that he had to take a drug test because of her accusations. "I had to take a drug test after Chicago's party because you accused me of being on drugs. Tracy Romulus, stop manipulating Kim to be this way." Clearly, their relationship was beyond repair. However, at least Kanye's love for Kim was genuine, because his hatred for Pete Davidson was equally intense. The next person who Kanye had a huge controversy with is the man that dates every woman in Hollywood, Pete Davidson. It all started when Kim went on SNL for a skit with Pete. In the skit, the two would play as Aladdin and Jasmine.
Aladdin, relax. I really like you. I really do.
And I really like you too.
Kim and Pete would actually have a brief kiss on screen as well.
Now, are you gonna kiss me or not?
I sure am, Jasmine.
Now, if I was Kanye, I'd be pretty upset seeing this too. As on top of their skit, Kim also said that she felt sparks when she kissed Pete. So much so that a few days after that, she called the producers at SNL and asked for Pete's number. But you know what would make Kanye feel even worse? Hearing confirmation that the two began dating officially, after being seen having their first public date and were spotted holding hands on a roller coaster. And by February of 2022, Pete Davidson was calling Kim his girlfriend in an interview.
Or hang with my friends or chill with my girlfriend inside.
Obviously, Kanye would be enraged. So what does Kanye do when he's mad at someone? He trolls them on social media, and Pete Davidson was no exception. Kanye would upload a ton of posts trolling and calling Pete out. For example, "Look at this dickhead. I wonder if Instagram gonna shut down my page for dissing Hillary Clinton's ex-boyfriend." If you're a bit confused about Pete Davidson being Hillary Clinton's ex-boyfriend, well, don't worry, because Kanye's got you covered. He followed it up with a screenshot of Pete Davidson getting a Hillary Clinton tattoo, as well as a Christmas gift, and calling her his hero. But his trolling wouldn't end there, because in one of the funniest Kanye posts of all time, he posted an image of Marvel's Civil War movie cover with his face edited in as Captain America and Pete Davidson as Iron Man on Instagram. That's right, this is a real post from Kanye West. It had Drake, Travis Scott, Future, Kim Kardashian, Kid Cudi, Billie Eilish, and Taylor Swift in the photo as well. What makes it even funnier is that this edited image is allegedly from his own subreddit, so when he posted it on Instagram, his fans had a good laugh. And Kanye hated Pete so much He even dissed his friends, as MGK caught a few subs as well. In the caption, Kanye wrote, "No one's ever heard a Machine Gun Kelly song, Bob." But it wasn't all just fun trolls, because Kanye would take things a step further, sharing a pretty disturbing rumor about Mac Miller and Ariana Grande that was connected to Pete Davidson. You see, there was a popular rumor back when Pete and Ariana were still dating that Pete Davidson allegedly sent intimate photos of them to Mac, and that Ariana found out about this, leading to them breaking up. But Kanye didn't stop there. Next, he posted a screenshot of Pete and Machine Gun Kelly's underwear promotion with the caption, "No, you will never meet my children," which was pretty funny. And at this point, it felt like Kanye was just waking up every single day to find some other damning thing to post and troll Pete Davidson about. In fact, it got so bad that a month after Kanye shared a barrage of posts trolling Pete Davidson, Kim actually reached out to Kanye because she was worried about Pete's safety because of how much trolling Kanye was doing online. "You are creating a dangerous and scary environment, and someone will hurt Pete, and this will be your fault." Now, Kanye isn't known to listen to anyone, but he still had a special place in his heart for Kim, so he captioned the post, "Upon my wife's request, please nobody do anything physical to Skeet. I'm going to handle this myself," like a true man, you know? And Kanye proceeded to share more of their conversations online, much to Kim K's disapproval. So after all of this, you'd think Kanye would stop threatening Pete Davidson after Kim begged him to stop, right? Well, Kanye just couldn't help himself, and he made the situation way worse when he released a music video for his single Easy featuring the game. However, this wasn't just any other music video, because some parts of it had an animated version of Kanye kidnapping and Pete Davidson lookalike. There was even a scene of Pete being burned alive and having rose seeds planted to grow out of his head. It was pretty clear Kanye hated Pete. He even mentioned Pete in the lyrics, rapping, "God save me from that crash just so I can beat Pete Davidson's ass." Who? Everyone lived happily ever after except Skeet. Just kidding, he's fine. Although it's scratched out, you could clearly read Skeet in the video. And until this point, despite Kim defending Pete, this beef was pretty one-sided. However, that wouldn't last long. Around the time that Kanye released the music video for Easy, tensions were at an all-time high between Kanye and Pete. And when Pete's friend leaked Pete and Kanye's DMs, everyone could see just how intense the beef had become. In the leaked text messages, Pete texted Kanye, "Yo, it's Skeet. Can you please take a second and calm down? It's 8 AM and it don't gotta be like this." It looked like Pete was trying to clear up the air and was pretty civil about the whole situation. Kim is literally the best mother I've ever met. What she does for these kids is amazing, and you were so lucky that she's your kid's mom. He was really nice to Kim and had good things to say about her in the text. "I've decided I'm not gonna let you treat us this way anymore, and I'm done being quiet. Grow the fuck up." So Pete finally had enough. He broke his silence and told Kanye to grow up. I'm sure you can already imagine how Kanye would respond. But when Kanye saw Pete was using swear words and profanity, he, as a grown adult, had to check him. "Oh, you're using profanity? Where are you right now?" So Kanye was looking for Pete and asking him for his location, to which Pete Davidson sent a selfie of himself with a text, "In bed with your wife." That's a pretty crazy reply from Pete Davidson. Insanely disrespectful. The two then went back and forth with texts. Pete Davidson told Kanye that he was gonna help him. "Let me help you, man. I struggled with mental health stuff too. It's not an easy journey." This was a kind gesture from Pete, which got no reply, to which he followed up with, "I've stopped SNL from talking about you or making fun of you. I've stopped stand-up comedians from doing bits about you." He continued to text these messages, but Ye just left him on red. He didn't want to hear it. In one of the texts, he told Ye that they can talk this out man to man and that he should handle these matters privately. Luckily for Kanye, soon news broke out that Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian had separated, and it was obvious Kanye was ecstatic. Because the first thing he did was open Instagram and upload an edited New York Times headline that wrote, "Skeet Davidson dead at 28. And it wasn't surprising that Kanye was going to make sure that he would have the last laugh in these 9 long months of back and forth. However, the sad truth about this beef was there was no winner. After all those text messages and trolling from Kanye, it ended up affecting Pete Davidson's mental health so much that he had to be in trauma therapy for most of 2022, and it was a stain on Kanye's reputation. But if you think that Kanye was being too erratic with how he handled this beef with Pete Davidson, you'd be wrong, as Kanye displayed the same behavior with Jay-Z. Despite Jay-Z being his big brother and mentor, someone as close to Kanye as Jay-Z wouldn't be exempt from this, as the two have had a problematic on and off relationship throughout the years. But before we talk about their beef, we have to talk about how their friendship started. You see, in the early 2000s, Kanye worked as an in-house producer for Rockefeller Studios. Now, I won't bore you with the history of Rockefeller and Jay-Z, but what you need to know is that Jay-Z discovered Kanye's talent for producing, and he was so impressed that he had Kanye produce 4 tracks on his album, The Blueprint. 3 years later, the two got pretty close, and when Kanye released College Dropout, the album featured a collaboration between Jay-Z and Kanye on Never Let Me Down. And because of the album's worldwide success, Kanye would be taken seriously as a rapper, having proved that you don't need a gangster image to be successful. And during that time, Jay-Z had nothing but praise for Kanye. Now, I'm sure you remember the Drake drama involving Watch the Throne and its release. Basically, Drake accused the duo of stealing his idea and doing a collab album. So we're not going to delve too much into that. However, this was when Kanye and Jay-Z's relationship seemed to falter just a little bit. According to Jay-Z, the two got into an argument about two of Jay's songs, Holy Grail and Oceans, because apparently Kanye wanted both of these to be on Watch the Throne.
As soon as I thought we had wrapped up Watch the Throne, I made 2 records. I had 2 records. I had Holy Grail and I had Oceans. And I played those records for Kanye and he was like, no, those have to go and Watch the Throne.
The songs did eventually make the cut. However, their solid relationship went downhill from there. Because when Kanye West and Kim Kardashian got married in 2014, Jay-Z was a no-show. Keep in mind that this was someone that Kanye looked up to as a big brother. So what happened to the two just 3 years after Watch the Throne got released? Well, Kanye addressed Jay's absence from his wedding in a GQ interview. In it, the interviewer asked Ye if there was any bad blood between the two because of Kim and her family bringing Kanye down. He answered, "It doesn't even matter to me whatsoever. Who would show up? Because the most important person to show up there, to me, was Kim." It sounded like Kanye wasn't bothered by Jay not showing up at all, so much so for being brothers, right? But after 4 years, Kanye would address this in an interview with Charlamagne Tha God. In the interview, he admitted that Jay not being there really hurt him.
I was hurt about them not coming to the wedding. I understand they was going through some things, but if it's family, you're not gonna miss a wedding.
Contrary to what he said in the GQ interview where he claimed it didn't matter who showed up, Kanye had a change of heart. In a pretty rare show of sincerity, he admitted Jay should have been there since they were family. But if you thought that was going to be the start of their beef, you'd be wrong, since the two were often featured in photos together after Kim and Kanye's marriage. So when did the beef begin between these two? Well, we can't be entirely sure on the exact date, but it seemed like around Kanye and Kim's marriage, things started to fall apart. But to understand why, we have to give you some context. So in 2016, Kim Kardashian got robbed at gunpoint in Paris after attending Fashion Week. How does Jay-Z tie into this? Well, apparently he was supposed to help them.
After the robbery, you say how you feeling. You want to know how I'm feeling? Come by the house. Bring the kids by the house.
According to Kanye, Jay never called him to see how they were coping with the situation. So Kanye just lashed out on him on his St. Pablo tour, as you can see in the video. And what could Kanye say that would make the situation worse? Mentioning Beyonce once again, because y'all know how that turned out. Anyways, Kanye said that Beyonce wasn't performing unless she won over him at the VMAs. And in a way, he kinda aired her out live on stage. Not only that, there were also rumors that Jay-Z was apparently tired of Kanye acting out like this. Jay allegedly prevented their children from playing with each other because of how unhinged Kanye was, and well, you can't really blame Jay for that one. But that wasn't the end of Kanye's rant, as he went on to say,
Jay-Z called me. Hey bro, Jay-Z, I know you got please don't send him out my head.
Kanye sounded more like an obsessed ex than a friend at this point. Even Jay-Z mentioned that he had killers, which I don't think Hov would have liked to hear. So it seemed like because of these rants from Kanye, their relationship soured, and in true rapper fashion, they couldn't just talk it out. They had to throw subs in songs. So a year after Kanye's infamous rant about Jay-Z and Beyonce, Jay would release 444, his 13th studio album. In the opening track titled Jay-Z, there's a reference to Kanye, but you got hurt because you did Cool by Ye. You gave him $20 million without blinking. Jay-Z referred to Kanye's potential $100 million deal with Apple that didn't go through because Jay stopped it when he gave Kanye $20 million up front. He gave you 20 minutes on stage. What was he thinking? Of course, this line talked about Kanye West's 20 minutes on stage where he talked about Jay and Beyonce negatively. But although the tension between Kanye and Jay-Z were at an all-time high, Jay-Z still went on a Rap Radar interview in August of 2017 to tell a story. What really hurt me was you can't bring my wife and kids into it. No matter how you look at it, Jay-Z was right here. It was wrong of Kanye to bring Jay's family into their beef. Like, Kanye is my little brother, he talked about me 100 times, he even made a song called Big Brother, we've gotten past bigger issues. So Jay reiterates the brotherly love that they have for each other, and the fact that they went through bigger scuffles than this and managed to get over those. But you brought my family into it now, it's a problem with me. It sounded like Jay had enough of Kanye's ridiculous rants. He knows that he crossed the line. I know he knows because we've never let this much space go between our disagreements. But Jay didn't only have negative words for his brother. He made sure to include a backhanded compliment too. That's what I like about him. He's an honest person. We'll say things and he's wrong a lot of the times and we'll confront it. This sounds like a sub at Kanye, especially with Jay stating he gets things wrong a lot of the time. But that wasn't all Jay had to say, as he went on an interview with the New York Times and showed Kanye love once again.
I love Kanye. I do. It's a complicated relationship with us. Kanye came into this business on my label, so I've always been like his big brother.
Again, he tells everyone that Kanye was his little brother because Kanye started his career from Jay's label.
And we're both entertainers. It's always been like a little underlying competition there with your big brother there. And we both love and respect each other's art too.
He also acknowledges the competitive nature of their relationship, especially in the genre of hip hop. After all, hip hop is a competitive sport, right?
So it's like everyone wants to be the greatest in the world. You know what I'm saying? And then there's like a lot of other factors that play in it, but we're gonna always be good.
So he sounded like he cooled his head off a bit and said that no matter what happens between the two, they'd still be good. And even though Kanye got more and more unhinged as the years went by, the two looked like they patched it up. Not only that, they were both spotted at Diddy's 50th birthday party. Not the freak off party, just the regular one. Actually, don't quote me on that. And in it, Kanye and Jay shook hands and were all smiles throughout the night. So thankfully, unlike the other beefs that Kanye had, this one never reached the point of no return. Fast forward to Donda's rollout in 2021, and Kanye played a version of Jail that featured a Jay-Z verse. To fans, Hov being on the song meant that the two were now on good terms. Keep in mind that this was the first time the two were on a song together since Drake's Pop Style 5 years ago. So is this finally the end to their feud? We can't say for sure, but a leaked documentary of Donda suggested otherwise. You see, Kanye didn't just want a verse from Jay-Z. He wanted him to be on stage with him too for the listening party. Everybody that's not here, I'm taking their verses off. I'm taking Jay-Z's verse off. If there's anybody not there on the porch with me, they're not in this version. Kanye never removed Jay from the album despite not showing up. However, this would be the last time the two would work together. However, despite the relationship getting so bad, Ye still had love and respect for Jay-Z. The same can be said for Big Sean. In fact, you could even say the opposite. Is it just me, or does everybody signed to Kanye's good music label end up having a tough time? Because that's exactly what happened to Big Sean. Now, if you didn't know, Big Sean was signed to Good Music and launched his career forward from there. He stayed with the label for 14 years before he finally announced his departure in 2021. On Twitter, he wrote, "By the way, this was the first project where I'm on my own label as well. No more Lil Dog." Big Sean assured fans that he'd always have a special place in his heart for the brotherhood that they shared under Good Music. So how did this beef begin? I mean, Big Sean was pretty respectful about him leaving the label, and he had nothing but kind words to say about Kanye. Well, yeah, but just a few days after Big Sean left the label, an erratic Kanye West went on the Drink Champs podcast and said something really disrespectful to Big Sean.
That when I die, on my tombstone, it's gonna say, I deserve to be here because I signed Big Sean.
And just to make it clear that he got his point across, Kanye doubled down and repeated himself.
No, I'm saying that the worst thing I've ever done was sign Big Sean.
What makes this interview even funnier is that Noor misheard and thought Kanye was saying something good about him.
That's a beautiful thing. Oh, that's a beautiful thing, man.
Noor started clapping before Kanye corrected him.
No, wait. The worst. Man, I know this man mama, bro. You know what I'm saying? I've changed this man's family.
Kanye basically said that he made Big Sean and that he's the reason Big Sean's where he's at right now in his life. But Big Sean wasn't the only one catching strays.
And both John Legend and Big Sean, when I ran for office, got used quick by the Democrats to come at they boy that actually changed their life.
And while it's understandable that he wanted loyalty from his label mates, them rooting for Kanye's presidential campaign when he's that deranged was most likely asking for too much.
And that's some sellout shit. And I don't rock with neither of them. And I need my apologies.
But anyways, after a month of being clowned for Kanye's actions on the show, Big Sean hopped on Drink Champs himself to settle the score.
I took it too personally because it's like you publicly humiliated me when I've been down for you now.
And you can't blame Big Sean for feeling that way, because he always stuck with Kanye at every opportunity.
He changed my life and I love him for that.
Big Sean was respectful and agreed that Kanye's cosign did change his life.
Traveled around the world for this man every time he's called, and have done this and not asked for publishing.
So instead of going off on Kanye, Big Sean proved just how loyal he was as a friend. I mean, ringing his phone and finding him there the next day definitely sounds like loyalty to me. And not a lot of people know this, but when all the big artists started leaving Good Music, Big Sean was the one who carried the label on his back.
A lot of people have signed to Good Music. I just want to keep that in mind. But not a lot of people nobody on Good Music has put out 5 LPs and back-to-back-to-back number ones, right?
Keep in mind that he did this while having a bad deal with the label, and while Kanye also owed him $6 million. You heard that right, $6 million.
What if they owed you that, bro?
Right, I understand.
And you showed up for them and you did all these things, right?
Right.
And they up billions.
I'll be honest, that's pretty bad business.
What I'm saying is I put at least $30 million in this man's pocket or more. Right. And he owes me money and he's up billions. Right. Him or his company.
Imagine doing everything right by Kanye and he still finds a way to disrespect you while owing you money. And the way that Big Sean handled it all with grace garnered him a lot of respect. Not in the beginning, but as it aged. As one fan said, "I love Ye, but he's in the wrong here. Respect to Big Sean showing a lot of class in this interview." But not everyone was as loyal as Big Sean. Many were fed up far sooner. One of those being Kid Cudi. If you've made it this far into the video, then you're sure to realize the pattern of Kanye having an on and off relationship with the people closest to him. And for Kid Cudi, that was no exception. You see, Kid Cudi first met Kanye while he was working a retail job at a store.
I met Kanye like any other person as a fan.
And when Kanye heard Kid Cudi's mixtape, that's when he knew that he had to sign him to good music. So they started off quite well, right? How exactly did the relationship get so bad? Well, by the time 808s and Heartbreaks dropped, Kid Cudi was featured on multiple tracks and co-wrote 4 songs, including the iconic chorus for Heartless. Kanye even returned the favor by appearing in Cudi's music videos. Looking back, 808s and Heartbreak has become a certified classic, and this was partially because of Kanye putting Cudi on the map and having his help. But after about 5 years, Kid Cudi announced that he was leaving Good Music amicably. He would go on an interview and say that
everything is peace with everybody on the label. There's never been any issues, but I am announcing that I'm no longer on Good Music.
So it sounds like he didn't leave because of any drama or stuff like that. He just wanted to do his own thing. And Cudi clarified he and Kanye hopped on a call and Kanye was fine with his decision. And it was also a tough decision for him to make because he saw Kanye as a big brother. And when the interviewer jokingly said,
"You got tired of Kanye,"
Kid Cudi was quick to shut this down.
And I could never get tired of Kanye.
Kid Cudi's response was about to age horribly, as Kanye would later prove him wrong down the line. Not only that, Kanye also spoke about Kid Cudi's departure and had nothing but love for him.
Actually, I was just on email with him earlier. Kid Cudi is my personal favorite artist in the world right now.
So this means the two went their separate ways with no tension or beef, correct? Well, Kanye had other plans. After all the love Cudi received after leaving, Kid Cudi himself would send shots at Kanye in his own music. In his song Cold Blood, he rapped, "Feeling way worthless, the lost black sheep of good music, only good for a hook." So Kid Cudi felt he was the outcast or the black sheep at good music, and that he was only used for singing on hooks. Second statement is definitely true, because it was rare to find a Kid Cudi feature back in his good music days where he wasn't just brought in to sing on the hooks. And of course, Kanye would do something to spite Cudi back. When Kanye dropped Yeezus, there was a song in the album that had Kid Cudi featured on it without his permission. Kanye used Cudi's old vocals on the song Guilt Trip specifically. Of course, you can imagine how angry Cudi was about this. I mean, he was just taking a stroll and everyone kept asking him, "Are you on Guilt Trip?" or saying, "Great job." This confused him. What the fuck is everyone talking about? So he went on Twitter and heard the song. At first, Kid Cudi was flattered that Kanye included him, but after that, he felt disrespected about the whole situation. Cudi wondered why Kanye never reached out to him about this. Why not call me and have me come in there and give it? Why underuse me? Why put 4 bars of my vocals to coax my fans into thinking this is a legitimate Kid Cudi feature on the song and it isn't? So Kid Cudi clearly felt some type of way about not being contacted, and later said it was weird and he didn't want to be on the song. It's weird. I don't know how to feel, but I would have much rather been off that song. I don't care to be on people's songs like that. I'm not gonna lie, his vocals on the song are amazing, but it still doesn't excuse Kanye for putting him on a song without his permission like that. But 3 years after the Yeezus controversy between Kanye and Cudi, the two would link up again for Kanye's highly anticipated The Life of Pablo launch party. Not only was Cudi present, he was also featured on the iconic Father Stretch My Hands Part 1 track on the album. However, later, Kid Cudi would once again lash out on Twitter and mention Kanye, as he took to Twitter to voice out his frustrations about the music industry and how fake some artists are. One of those ended up being Kanye. To preface this, here's the first in a long series of tweets by Cudi. "I need y'all to know I got so many haters within the industry, and these clowns know I'm about to crush their entire existence." He also mentioned that some of the guys that were in the top 5 of the genre had 30 people writing songs for them. Now this tweet didn't exactly apply to Kanye, but what he said next definitely did. "I kept silent because I don't ever want to come off like some angry hater. But today, not only do I feel fantastic, I'm feeling like I'm taking over. My tweets apply to who they apply to. Ye, Drake, whoever." What's interesting is that he also included Drake, someone known to have ghostwriters. They keep you close when they know how powerful you are by yourself, when they see your greatness out of fear. It seemed like he was alluding to this being him and Kanye's relationship, as he wrote for Kanye a lot. Of course, Kanye of all people was not going to let this go without clapping back at Cudi. While Kanye was on the St. Pablo tour performing Don't Like, he let Cudi have a piece of his mind.
Kid Cudi, don't never mention your name.
In this rant, Kanye outright sunned him when he said that he's the reason Kid Cudi has a career in the first place.
We all dealing with that emo shit all the time. Me, Pat, Don C. Don't never mention your name.
Damn, apparently mentioning Ye in one of his tweets negatively wasn't something that Kanye appreciated. Who would have known?
Don't try to say who I can do songs with. You mad because I'm doing songs with Drake? Can't nobody tell respect the God.
Kanye insinuated that Cudi was mad because Kanye made songs with Drake, who he was mentioned alongside with in his Twitter crash out. And if you think that that was the end of Kanye's rant, you're wrong.
You know how many people wish they could be sounding good music, get their life changed? Had an opportunity? Never forget that!
Kanye reiterated that signing with good music is something that a lot of people wanted, as it was a way for them to change their lives. Cudi included,
I'm so hurt! I feel so disrespected!
Apparently, Kanye felt really disrespected by Cudi's words, but didn't he disrespect him first by adding his vocals without telling him on Yeezus? But I mean, this is Kanye we're talking about. So once again, the pattern of Kanye's love-hate relationship with everyone else also happened with Cudi, because not even a week after he said he birthed Cudi, Kanye would express his forgiveness, and Kanye told the crowd how influential and important Kid Cudi was as an artist.
The most important artist in the past 10 years. Most influential. And I hope he's doing well.
Not only that, Kanye said that he hoped Cudi was doing well. However, that wasn't all, because just a few weeks after that, Kanye would bring Kid Cudi out to perform Father Stretch My Hands Part 1 and other songs. You see, this was a really cool moment between the two, and it meant a lot to fans and to Cudi as well, because this happened after he went to rehab for depression, and the two would share a hug on stage. Fun fact, this was also the same night Kanye ranted about Jay-Z. Anyways, a year after that, Kid Cudi would pay the favor back by bringing Ye out to perform on his tour in Chicago. The relationship looked completely fine at this point. The two even released Kids See Ghosts, the long-awaited album that suggested that Kanye and Cudi were ready to move forward together. But before I tell you they lived happily ever after, and move on to the next Kanye controversy, it turned out the duo still had more scuffles left in the bag. Just a year after Kanye and Cudi released their Kids See Ghosts project, Kim Kardashian filed for divorce. As you know, this was when Kanye went back and forth with Pete Davidson online. Now you might wonder how Kid Cudi ties into all of this, right? Well, Kid Cudi and Pete Davidson were friends, and when Kanye was beefing with Pete Davidson, he wanted Cudi to stop being friends with Pete. Obviously, Cudi said no, and Kanye went crazy, taking to Instagram and uploading a handwritten image that said, "Just so everyone knows, Cudi will not be on Donda because he's friends with you-know-who. We all speak in Billy language now." And he was right. There were no traces of Cudi anywhere on Donda. He also tagged Kid Cudi and Kim Kardashian in the post for good measure. Cudi would then clap back in the comment section. "Too bad I don't want to be on your album, you fucking dinosaur, ha 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 ha. Everyone knows I've been the best thing about your albums since I met you. I'ma pray for you, brother." Cudi also took to Twitter to address the situation, saying, "We talked weeks ago about this. You're whack for flipping the script and posting this lie just for a look on the internet. You're no friend. Bye." Clearly, he didn't hold back and was defending himself on the internet, something most people don't do with Kanye. Anyway, just 5 months after Kanye's announcement of excluding Kid Cudi from Donda 2, Kid Cudi was unexpectedly set to replace Kanye as a headliner for Rolling Loud 2022 in Miami. Kanye pulled out of the event shortly, and Rolling Loud quickly chose Cudi to fill in. However, during Cudi's set, some fans began throwing water bottles at him, ultimately forcing him to cut his performance short. Not really forcing, he was just annoyed.
Yo, I will walk off this stage. If y'all throw one more fucking thing up here, I will leave.
And although the specific individuals who threw the bottle were never identified, many speculate that it was a disgruntled Kanye fan upset that Cudi was added to the lineup in place of Kanye. But their beef still wasn't finished, because Kid Cudi said, "Do you know how it feels to wake up one day, look at your social media, and you're trending because someone's talking shit about you?" Cudi was referring to Kanye taking him out of Donda 2 and posting it all over social media a few months ago as this happened. Not only that, Cudi also talked about Kanye's deranged army of trolls who would stop at nothing to defend him. And I'm not gonna lie, Kanye's fanbase does have a reputation to do that sort of thing, let's be real. And it got so bad to the point that Cudi was receiving messages that trolled him on Instagram, Twitter, and even his own comments. Of course, it pissed Cudi off. But what a lot of people might not know is that this messed up Kid Cudi harder than they thought. He used his power to fuck with me. You fucking with my mental health now, bro. Bear in mind that Kid Cudi has been dealing with mental health issues up to now, and Kanye not only suffers with issues like this as well, but he also knew Cudi did too, not respond to these statements. So he decided to keep ranting. "I'm not one of your kids. I'm not Kim. It don't matter if I'm friends with Pete or not. None of this shit had anything to do with me." And that's pretty accurate, because it felt like Cudi got shoehorned into this beef for no reason. If you can't be a grown man and deal with the fact that you lost your woman, that's not my problem. Again, you could tell that whatever Cudi said in this interview came straight from the heart. You need to own up to your shit like every man in his life has. And if you think that only Kanye was mentioned in this interview, you're wrong, as Drake caught it straight too. With all due respect, I'm not Drake, who's about to take a picture with them next week and be friends again, and their beef is squashed. This would age very poorly, by the way. He ended the interview with, "It's gonna take a miracle for me and that man to be friends again." But you can never count Kanye West out when it comes to mending relationships with others just to start beefing with them again. Because just a year after the interview, the two would link up one more time. Remember when Kid Cudi said that it was gonna take a miracle for him and Kanye to be friends again? Well, Kanye made a miracle happen because the two were spotted hugging at the Vultures listening party in December of 2023. And because of how confusing their relationship was, with the constant up and downs, a fan said this is like their 4th reunion after beefing. Another added, "Toxic ass relationship lol, but I hope this time it's for the better." And Kanye's disrespected many more rappers like this, one of them being J. Cole. Unlike most people on this list, Kanye and J. Cole had a solid relationship for a very long time. Because like many other rappers, J. Cole looked up to Kanye when he was still coming up. He would rap over Kanye West produced beats and clearly respected him as a producer and a rapper. And when J. Cole signed with Roc Nation under Jay-Z, the two would officially work on a track, Star Is Born, by Jay-Z featuring him, produced by Kanye. And as Cole continued to get bigger in the music industry, he had nothing but compliments for Kanye. "I'm such a Kanye fan," which begs the question, when exactly did the relationship sour to the point of turning into a beef? Cole would finally diss him on a song False Prophets. The first verse of the song fits Kanye like a glove. Moreover, J. Cole dropped this during the same time that Kanye was hospitalized for overexhaustion, so make of that what you will. Keep in mind, this was released the very same year that The Life of Pablo dropped with all the Taylor Swift drama. Ego in charge of every move, he's a star and we can't look away due to the days that he caught our hearts. Sound familiar? If you still don't believe that this was a Kanye jab, wait till you hear the next bars. When he tell us he a genius, but it's clearer lately, it's been hard for him to look into the mirror lately. There was a time when this guy was my hero maybe, that's the reason why his fall from grace is hard to take. We've had a lot of self-proclaimed geniuses in the rap game, but there's nobody who calls himself a genius more than Kanye West. J. Cole looked up to Kanye early in his career, so seeing him spiral down into being an egomaniac, ranting over anything in his Saint Pablo tour probably disappointed J. Cole a lot. But that's not all, because J. Cole's words about Kanye still clinging to his old songs is particularly intense. While the world's egging him on, I'm begging him to stop it, playing his old shit knowing he won't top it. Now, this diss track definitely aged well, because whenever Kanye has a meltdown on stage or in an interview somewhere, people just come back and listen to False Prophets. A fan commented, "Aged like the finest of wines." So what did Kanye think? Well, in response to J. Cole's lines on False Prophets, Kanye West allegedly told Charlamagne the God that J. Cole has always been sneak dissing him. He provided an example from No Role Models, where Cole rapped, "Now all I'm left with is hoes from reality shows. Hand her a script, the bitch probably couldn't read all along." Kanye went on and told Charlamagne that he felt like the hoes J. Cole was referring to was Kim Kardashian, as she had her own reality TV show at the time. After that, Kanye took to Twitter to upload a screenshot of him and Cole on a 4-minute phone call with the caption, "We got love," I guess showing that they had spoken to each other. However, Cole didn't seem to like that Kanye uploaded the screenshot and decided to do an interview with Angie Martinez to set a few things straight. She asked him if he knew Kanye was going to upload the screenshot, and Cole would clearly make it obvious that he didn't approve of it.
Did you not know that picture was going up?
Of course not.
Yeah.
No way. I would have never,
made the call. Did you make the call or he made the call?
Nah, he called me, but
J. Cole went on to say that he would have never done what Kanye did.
I would have never posted that or like tell him to post that. You know what I mean? I didn't. That made me feel a certain type of way.
And when Cole told him that he didn't like what Kanye did, you have to give credit to him. He did allegedly apologize.
He apologized for the record. It's not like I'm just saying this.
Right.
But then I told him like it felt like you just used my name in that very quick conversation for social media.
Cole's right, as Kanye took no time at all and just uploaded the image after they talked. After that, Cole would talk about False Prophets and denied the entire song was about Kanye West. So Cole admitted that the first verse really did apply to Kanye. But at the end of the day, this is J. Cole we're talking about. So nothing really happened after that. And after 7 long years of waiting, Kanye finally dressed J. Cole in his Like That remix while the rap civil war was going on. Y'all saw out of sight, out of mind, I can't even think of a Drake line. Play J. Cole, get the f*** dry. Just imagine this, right? Kanye comes in talking about, yo, I got you, that type of stuff. Willing to diss Drake and J. Cole in one single line as he proceeds to talk about himself for the rest of the track, which is like the most Kanye thing ever. And on the remix, he's basically saying that he can't remember any notable Drake lines while J. Cole makes dry and boring music. Kanye West didn't spare Cole from his infamous internet trolls either, as Kanye would post this image on Instagram. The picture was a meme showing a couple laying on bed as the woman asked if the guy listened to J. Cole, which he denies, and the next panel is the two of them, This was a huge meme amid J. Cole dropping out the Kendrick and Drake beef, so Kanye definitely did him dirty. But speaking of people who Kanye did dirty, Wiz Khalifa was another rapper who Kanye would have a shaky relationship with. And this beef began in a really bizarre way. If you didn't know, the life of Pablo didn't start with that name. Initially, it was called Swish, and Kanye, being indecisive, would later rename it to Waves. He announced this on Twitter, and Wiz Khalifa quickly responded with a tweet of his own. In his tweet, Wiz wrote, "Please don't take the wave," and later posted another that said, "Max B is the wavy one. He created the wave. There is no wave without him." For some added context, Max B is a rapper who popularized the wavy sound of hip hop that rappers like Wiz do. Kanye then responded to Wiz and showed some respect to Max B, where he wrote, "All respect to Andre Harrell and Max B." After that, you would think the two would stop tweeting or talking about this, but that's exactly what Wiz Khalifa did. His next tweet would have nothing to do with Kanye at all when he said, "Hit this KK and become yourself." However, Kanye took this the wrong way and thought he meant Kim Kardashian when Wiz said KK. And from that simple understanding, all hell broke loose on Twitter. Like, oh, that's Ye, and I can put his wife's initials on my Twitter, at Wiz Khalifa. Honestly, Kanye was crashing out that day. Just take a look at what he typed. Bro, first of all, you stole your whole shit from Cudi. But that's just the start. Kanye had more to say about Wiz. Third, no one I know has ever listened to one of your albums all the way through. And last but not the least, don't ever come out the side of your motherfucking neck, bro. Or bruh, or however you say it, Mr. Waves. Come on, Kanye. All Wiz did was tweet about his funny grass. But if you think that's the worst of his tweets directed at Wiz Khalifa, you'd be wrong. Kanye got real personal and mentioned Wiz's kids and his wife at that time, Amber Rose, who we'll get a lot more into later. After seeing Kanye crash out on Twitter like this, Wiz told him that KK just meant funny grass, wink wink, and that they weren't his wife's initials. KK is grass, fool. Reason why you're not wavy. Go back to Swish. This has to be one of the worst misunderstandings in all of Twitter's history, right? So when Kanye saw Wiz's tweet about it, he quickly deleted all his personal attacks against Wiz Khalifa. I'm happy that I now know that KK means grass. Please excuse the confusion. Now go back to hashtag waves. Then he complimented Wiz's pants. I went to look at your Twitter and you were wearing cool pants. I screen grabbed those pants and sent it to my style team, hashtag Wiz wears cool pants. From there, their absurd Twitter beef would come to an end. But Wiz wasn't the only person that Kanye hurt in the situation. Remember his wife and mother of his child, Amber Rose, who Kanye also dissed? Well, she wasn't going to stay quiet after everything Kanye said, and this would spark yet another beef. But before we get into Kanye West and Amber Rose's fair share of controversies from the time they were together to their split, we have to talk about how the relationship started in the first place, because these two have history that dates way before the beef began with Wiz. The two first met at a Ludacris music video, and things kicked off from there, soon after the two announced that they were dating. If you didn't know, Kanye West and Amber Rose were together when the whole 2009 VMAs controversy with Taylor Swift happened, and it looked like the two were inseparable, being spotted together at all times, even after the VMAs drama. But when June of 2010 rolled around, Kanye and Amber Rose decided to call it quits. The reason for their breakup was allegedly because Kanye was too dedicated to working on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, so they decided it would be best for them to part ways. What's funny is after their breakup, Amber Rose went ahead and dated Kim Kardashian's ex-boyfriend Reggie Bush for quite some time in 2011 before moving on to Wiz Khalifa. Of course, Kanye West and Kim got together later as well. And this is what began their first controversy, because Kanye dating Kim led to Amber Rose infamously calling Kim Kardashian a homewrecker. She made it clear that Kim was the reason why Kanye and her weren't together anymore. Kim is one of the main reasons why me and Kanye are not together. She is a homewrecker. But there was more to this. Amber Rose also accused Kim of starting the affair by calling, texting, and sending some questionable photos to Kanye West. You see, when Amber Rose saw this, she apparently emailed Kim about it but never received a response. I thought at least she'd be woman enough to respond to me. She never responded. And it's hard not to feel bad for Amber Rose and Reggie Bush. Just imagine how they both got cheated on at the same time with their respective partners. Although it wasn't all bad for Amber Rose, who said that she wanted to thank him for what she did, because if she was never a homewrecker, then I would never have met Wiz, and I wouldn't be as happy as I am right now. So what did Kanye think of all this? Well, in the song Cold from the Good Music album Cruel Summer, Kanye said that he was fine with Wiz and Amber being together. When the whole industry want to f your old chick, only guy I got respect for is Wiz. Kanye said this because Amber Rose had a lot of flings with other people in the industry, let's keep it at that, and Wiz was the only person who genuinely committed to her. He even ended up marrying her. But what Kanye said next aligned with what Amber Rose stated in the interview. And I'll admit, I had fell in love with Kim around the same time she had fallen in love with him. So Kanye West admitted he fell in love with Kim at the same time she married Chris Humphries, which proved that Amber Rose was right. However, just 3 years after Kanye gave Amber and Wiz his stamp of approval, he went on The Breakfast Club and said something really disrespectful to Amber Rose.
It's very hard for a woman to, want to,
want to be with someone that's with Amber Rose. So she wasn't sending nothing, you know what I'm saying?
So Kanye publicly humiliated her in this interview and demeaned her character.
Like I had to take 30 showers before I got with Kim, you know?
And of course, the backlash that came after this interview soon followed. A fan said, "The man is disgustingly disrespectful." Amber Rose herself chimed in on the situation and tweeted, "Wait, 30 showers?" But Kim let Ray J on her. Never mind. But Amber Rose wasn't finished. She followed it up by saying that she wasn't going to snitch on Kanye because they once loved each other. She was going to be the bigger person in the situation. "I'll leave that up to the Kardashians to humiliate you when they're done with you." A fan wrote this comment just below it after 7 years. Tweet aged like the finest of wines. And if you remember Wiz Khalifa and Kanye's Twitter beef that caused Kanye to have a meltdown, he mentioned Amber Rose, who was Wiz Khalifa's wife at the time, in one of his tweets. So basically, Kanye tweeted some out-of-pocket things. Fourth, you let us trap you, and even including Wiz and Amber's kid into it. Fifth, I know you mad every time you look at your child that this girl got you for 18 years, but that wasn't the last time you mentioned his kid. 13th, you own waves, I own your child, which is, that's wild. But that's not all, as Kanye would also include Amber Rose as one of the mannequins for the famous music video. You see, before Taylor was the main diss and famous, it was supposedly Amber, because after a version of the song got leaked back in October of 2016, and instead of the infamous, "I feel like me and Taylor might still have," he rapped, "I feel like Amber Rose still owes me." And that change didn't really make the line any less controversial, and that's saying a lot. Remember, the song itself was about people Kanye believed he made famous, and owed him in return. However, the fame that Kanye brought to Amber Rose for dating him wasn't good for her, and you'll soon find out why. Although Amber Rose was over Kanye at this point, their relationship still remained a hot topic for any interview she went on. For example, when she was on Everyday Struggle, hosted by Joe Budden and DJ Academics,
still have never said anything mean about Kanye. I could have been one of those bitches that would. This is after 6 years of bullying, though, from him.
This is true, as Amber Rose never said anything bad about Kanye, except that one time when he involved his child in that Twitter beef. But anyway, you'd think that if she dated someone as rich and influential as Kanye, she would have been drowning in money after they broke up. But in this interview, she revealed that the only thing she got was fame.
The only thing that I got from him was fame. And fame don't get you no f***ing money. Period.
To be fair, even if she wanted to say something about Kanye, she was just gonna get trolled, roasted, and made fun of on social media because of how massive and dedicated Kanye's fan base is.
And I can't say anything on the internet because Kanye has such a voice.
Not only that, she claimed that she was the reason that Kanye put Nicki Minaj on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy in the first place.
I should have got $20 million for My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but I didn't get nothing.
And it's a common consensus among Kanye fans that Nicki Minaj out-rapped Kanye and Jay-Z on the track. So in the end, Amber Rose walked away from her 2-year stint with Kanye, not with money or love, but with a storm of controversies that came from his constant tirades. Kanye didn't get anything from him. Someone who Kanye genuinely helped at a certain point in his career is John Legend. As you all know by now, beefing with label mates is nothing new to Kanye. I mean, just look at our earlier examples with Kid Cudi and Big Sean, right? Well, the same goes for John Legend. And before we start, here's an interesting fact. John Legend released the most number of albums under Good Music, totaling up to 6 studio albums before leaving in 2016. So what went wrong and how did the two drift apart? Well, in an interview with a New Yorker, John Legend admitted that the two stopped being friends after John didn't support Kanye's aspirations to run for president back in 2020. That was the real impetus for us, having strained our friendship. Does this sound familiar? Yeah. It's the exact same reason why Kanye and Big Sean's relationship soured. He was very upset with me that I didn't support him and I supported Joe Biden. Well, despite John, Kanye would leak the text messages. In the leaked messages, John Legend said, "I hope you'll reconsider aligning yourself with Trump. You're way too powerful and influential to endorse who he is and what he stands for." John Legend reached out to him in a positive manner, so he was just telling Kanye to be responsible. So many people who love you feel so betrayed right now because they know the harm that Trump's policies cause, especially to the people of color. Don't let this be a part of your legacy. You're the greatest artist of our generation. And I don't know what John was thinking here. Trying to have a sensible conversation with Kanye about politics could not be a good idea. Kanye replied, "I love you, John, and I appreciate your thoughts. You bringing up my fans or my legacy is a tactic based on fear to manipulate my free thought." John replied and told him to think freely and to think with empathy and context. He even plugged his new single at the time. And since you're posting texts, let me add that I have a new single out, haha. However, after that, Kanye took to Twitter and said, "If you feel something, don't let peer pressure manipulate you." So he suggested that John Legend was trying to peer pressure and manipulate him into not voting for Trump. I'll let you think of that what you will. But ultimately, John Legend would respond by going on an interview with Ebro, telling him that Kanye's methodology and words were inconsistent. So the two had opposing political beliefs at this point, and when Kanye made the massive decision of running for president back in 2020, John Legend was nowhere to be found supporting his friend. So it's understandable why John distanced himself from Kanye around this time. Funnily enough, Kanye gave credence to what John Legend said about the two drifting apart because he didn't support his candidacy. He mentioned John Legend in his Drink Champs interview. That's right, the very same interview he did Big Sean dirty on.
And both John Legend and Big Sean, when I ran for office, got used quick by the Democrats to come at they boy that actually changed their life. And that's some sellout shit. And I don't rock with neither of them.
But they weren't done because John Legend went on a podcast himself and talked about his friendship with Kanye.
I do find him different than he was back then. I didn't see hints of this kind of harmful behavior back then.
And just like a lot of us, it seemed like John Legend missed the old Kanye as well. According to him, Donda West's passing really did a number on Kanye.
You know, I think life happens to people, and I think the death of his mother probably had something to do with this, I think. And, you know, I don't want to play armchair psychologist, but he's definitely changed.
And this is something that has been pointed out by Kanye fans for a while. And in the same podcast, John Legend would confirm that the two are no longer friends or on speaking terms.
I know people in his life that are, but we have lost touch. We've not been friends for a while now. And so I'm not personally doing anything, but I do know people who are, and you know, a lot of people are concerned about him.
But not only did Kanye lose a lot of friends in his election stint, but he lost a major chunk of his net worth as well. For example, that one time where Adidas cut ties with him. Of course, you can't mention Adidas without talking about Kanye West's iconic Yeezy shoe line. But right now, Kanye's relationship with the shoe brand is all but over. So what happened between the two? Well, before we start, it's important to note that Adidas at one point got an estimated 4 to 8% of their sales from Yeezy. But when it came to Kanye, it was a much bigger deal because it made up about $1.5 billion of his net worth. So Adidas was a big deal for Kanye. Unfortunately, he didn't value it enough because he would throw it all away over some very controversial statements.
The thing about it, me and Adidas, is like, I could literally say anti-Semitic and they can't drop me. I could say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. Now what? Now what?
Well, this line aged horribly because it looked like Adidas took this as a challenge as they would drop Kanye because of his anti-Semitic comments. But what was even worse for Kanye is that he lost his billionaire status because of this controversy. Adidas thought that they'd rather lose up to 8% of their total sales rather than deal with Kanye West's antics and have him stain their brand. But to really understand Kanye and Adidas' beef, we have to go back to the very start. What some of you might not know is that Kanye actually first designed Nike shoes before he signed a deal with Adidas. He worked with them for 10 years until he jumped ship and found his way into Adidas. And after Kanye signed with them, his first Adidas shoes, the Yeezy 750s, were debuted at the 2015 Grammys. From then on, Adidas and Kanye collaborated on many other products, enough to where they also extended Kanye's partnership, and Adidas even said that their partnership was the most significant partnership ever created between a non-athlete and athletic brand. The relationship was quite good, up until 2018, when Kanye went to the White House to meet with President Trump, where he said these words.
You gave me the heart to go to Adidas. Adidas thing made me a billionaire.
Damn. Who knew Donald Trump was the reason that we have Yeezys in the first place? Afterwards, Kanye went to an interview where he said that he was fighting for the role of becoming Adidas' creative director. I've been fighting and struggling and arguing and talking and having conversation after conversation about being the creative director of Adidas. It's obvious, right? But across all his time spent in Adidas, Kanye would never be named creative director. I wonder why. However, fast forward to 2020 and the relationship was still solid. Both Adidas and Kanye were making a lot of money from their partnership. Not only that, Kanye proceeded to thank former Adidas executive John Wexler for his contributions to the company. This man changed the game with our Adidas deal and helped to bring Adidas to a $62 billion market cap and made me a multi-millionaire. It was definitely rare to see Kanye thanking someone and being this humble, but this would not last for long. You see, just 2 short years after Kanye ran for president, he not only lost elections, but a lot of friends as well. He aired the Adidas CEO out in an Instagram post, ranting that Adidas was bootlegging Yeezys. He said, "This shoe is a fake Yeezy made by Adidas themselves. I'm not talking to DC about this either. Casper, come talk to me. Happy Monday." And this would only be the start of his unhinged social media campaign against Adidas. Unfortunately for Casper, this wouldn't be the last time he would hear from Kanye or be mentioned by him on social media, because when the Adidas CEO stepped down, Kanye continued to troll him by posting a fake New York Times headline that said, "Casper Rorsted, also dead at 60 years old," with a caption, "God loves us." Then, in September of 2022, in a now deleted series of Instagram posts, Kanye lashed out on Adidas for copying his designs. Not only that, he suggested that he wanted to terminate his Adidas partnership and that the company owed him $2 billion in damages. But before we get into the time that Adidas terminated Kanye West's contract, you have to understand that this was around the same time that Kanye wore a White Lives Matter shirt for his Paris fashion show. But that's not what ended the relationship. Afterwards, Kanye went on an insanely anti-Semitic tirade, which I'm not even going to go over. just know it was bad. So much so that Adidas dropped him. But losing Adidas was far from Kanye's only financial hit, as other brands would soon begin to cut ties with him, one of them being Gap. Just a few hours after Adidas made their huge announcement, Gap shortly followed and announced that they would stop restocking Gap stores with Yeezy products. But this termination did not come just from his anti-Semitic remarks. You see, a month before having his contract terminated by Gap, Kanye went on an interview to talk about his displeasure with the company.
It was like they were just dog and pony and the idea around town. And sometimes I would talk to the guys, the heads up, the leaders, and it would just be like I was on mute or something. And they totally, our agenda, it wasn't aligned. And
losing Gap and Adidas would only be the start of companies beginning to cut ties with Kanye, as Instagram and Twitter would suspend his accounts for his 3 tweet about Jewish people. But it wasn't just fashion brands or shoe companies that had enough with Kanye West. Banks were also no exception. Candace Owens tweeted, "Earlier today, I learned that Kanye West was officially kicked out of JP Morgan Chase Bank. I was told there was no official reason given. He had until late November to find another place for the Yeezy empire to bank." I mean, even Kanye's record label was tired of him, because although Kanye fulfilled his contract with Def Jam for a 10-album run following Donda's release, someone close to the label confirmed that Kanye was now a free agent, and that they were not distributing releases anymore from Good Music. Kanye West's empire was being torn apart piece by piece, and in the end, he had nobody to blame but himself. And of course, Balenciaga was no exception to the long list of companies that left Kanye go. They had this to say: "Balenciaga has no longer any relationship nor plans for future projects related to the artist, Kanye." This hit Kanye's net worth hard once again, but that still wasn't all of the brands that dropped him, because if you were looking to restock your Yeezys during this time by driving yourself to your nearest Foot Locker, well, good luck to you, because Foot Locker also announced that they pulled Yeezy products and asked employees to hold their shoes in the shoes' backrooms, not to be displayed or sold. And finally, even TJ Maxx cut their ties with Kanye West, writing, "At TJX, we do not tolerate discrimination, harassment, or hate of any kind. We have instructed our buying teams not to purchase this merchandise for sale in any of our stores globally." So it seems like every clothing company had disowned Kanye at this point. However, this video still isn't over. There are a couple of minor beefs that Kanye got into that I just thought, why not cover? The first one was deadmau5. Whenever Kanye West goes on Twitter to post something, there always has to be a catch. Take for example that time in 2016 when he uploaded himself pirating a music software owned by deadmau5. Of course, deadmau5 saw this and was quick to respond to Kanye on Twitter. He captioned it, "What the f*** at Kanye West? Can't afford serum? Dick." And deadmau5 wasn't wrong for calling him out for this. After all, Kanye West was worth millions at the time. So buying serum couldn't have dented his wallet too much, but that wasn't the end. deadmau5 would later troll Kanye by saying that they needed to start a Kickstarter for Kanye to get serum. He also tagged him on the post. "Let's start a Kickstarter to help at Kanye West afford a copy of serum." And you can imagine Kanye's Twitter fingers were ready to let loose to start attacking the DJ. And for what it's worth, he didn't disappoint. Kanye had a lot to say about deadmau5, but here's some of the highlights of their Twitter back and forth. He started off strong by asking the DJ if there was a fan inside his iconic headgear. Okay, another super serious question. Is there a portable fan situation? But that wasn't all. And if you know Kanye, it wasn't all about trolling. He had to sneak some personal attacks there as well. Hashtag, "You raised Tidal subscriptions by a whopping 0 downloads." However, Kanye still wasn't done. He brought up the DJ's fiance when he said, "I'm bored. When you get married, will your wife have a giant Minnie Mouse head? Hashtag, this brightened my day. Thank you, deadmau5." And this was just Kanye trolling, writing out the most common mispronunciation of deadmau5's name at the last part. deadmau5 would respond, saying, "I'm gonna let you finish, but you should probably be saving the money for a 4th grade education." Now, if you remember, this is a reference to Kanye's biggest controversy ever, the time he walked up to Taylor on stage and ruined the VMAs back in 2009. And deadmau5 finished it by calling Kanye an idiot. "I can out-idiot an idiot. It's what I do." And that was that. Another short beef Kanye got into was with Yes Jules. Now, if you didn't know, Yes Jules is a social media influencer who had a loose role on the Yeezy team. But what she was more known for was being the person who got Daniel Caesar canceled after he defended her when she used the N-word. But that's besides the point. Anyways, she managed to worm her way into Kanye's circle as a talent manager for his team. Although she was only there to connect with Kanye's fanbase, whatever that means. This limited her to doing things like live streaming his Las Vegas listening party. And keep in mind, she wasn't supposed to communicate directly to the fans, just engage with them. Once again, whatever that means. However, she let too much info slip through once when she told fans that they were going to create an app for the fanbase, complete with its own virtual currency. We could all close our eyes and imagine what a Yeezy universe would look like if we were in a video game. If this was true, I'd imagine Kanye wouldn't be too happy with her just announcing it like this. We know that we'd be willing to pay to pull up to the shows and watch those live streams. We'd even be willing to pay to have a meeting like this where we can ideate together. Not only with Ye, but with some of his most trusted collaborations. And if that wasn't bad enough, she mentioned Kanye just to reel more people in. He knows how active you've been. I know sometimes it might feel like you might be working all day, every day, and your work is not being seen or recognized. Now, whether or not this is how Kanye really felt about his fans is up to debate, but after communicating with the fans like this, she allegedly violated her NDA. After seeing all of this unfold, Kanye took to Instagram and uploaded a story that said Yes Jules had nothing to do with Yeezy anymore. We have decided to no longer have Yes Jules involved in the rollout of Vultures. All the activity on her page and with our fans in the past few days has been unauthorized. Of course, Kanye fans rejoiced. One fan said, she's out of touch, uncreative, really has no clue what she's doing or even where to start learning what she should be doing. But once again, if that wasn't bad enough for Yes Jules, she'd wake up to a letter from Milo that was leaked online that said, enclosed, please find a letter and statement of account from your time with Yeezy. Fines incurred to date as a result of your NDA violations come to 7.7 million. And lastly, a separate email from Yeezy and signed off from Milo himself read, obviously, you are fired. Getting fired must be horrible, but getting fired on the internet like that and being told you owe them $7.7 million had to be a real bummer. But there's one last controversy I like to talk about, and that's Kanye versus a journalist and Gigi Hadid. Now, this happened when Kanye West was once again in hot water for wearing a shirt that said White Lives Matter during Paris Fashion Week. This had a lot of people mad, such as Boosie. At Kanye West, after all we've been through as a race, you put this disrespectful shit on, and a whole tirade. As you can see, Boosie let Kanye know what was up. But he wasn't the only one. Jaden Smith would also go on to say, Black Lives Matter. So the backlash Kanye got for wearing the shirt in the event was nothing to take lightly. And one of the most outspoken people who called him out was Gabriella Carifa Johnson, an editor for Vogue, the fashion magazine. She uploaded a story on Instagram with a photo of a model wearing the White Lives Matter shirt with the caption, here comes the bullshit, I'm fuming. Collecting my thoughts, indefensible behavior. Gabriella had a few more stories calling Kanye out, saying that the concept didn't land and just how offensive and dangerous Kanye's slogan was. However, instead of having a conversation with her to explain his side, Kanye just went at her with some Instagram posts that made fun of Gabriella and her outfits. And to be honest, this was quite clearly Kanye being mean. This is not a fashion person, and that wasn't the end of it. As Kanye would upload another post of the same photo zoomed in on her shoes. I know Anna hates these boots. For added context, the Anna that Kanye referenced here was the editor-in-chief for Vogue, Anna Wintour. After Kanye's post, Gigi Hadid took to Instagram to defend Gabriella Carifa Johnson from Kanye's constant bullying. Although Gigi Hadid was close with the Kardashians, she was also close to Taylor Swift. Anyways, she uploaded this on her story which said, I was trying not to give this man airtime, but publicly, someone who criticizes your work on your platform is another level of ridiculous to me. She continued to blast Kanye. She wrote that if Kanye can't take any smart criticism, then he shouldn't put his work for public consumption. This is immature bully behavior. It's behavior that we have all enabled by continuing to engage with his work for the sake of virality. Alright, that's it. Check out this channel if you like this video. I really appreciate you watching the whole thing, and bye.